Ever find yourself stumbling over your words when someone asks you the simple question, what do you do? Most entrepreneurs that I encounter think an elevator pitch is just a fluffy one-liner that you memorize and pull out when you're at networking events, Zoom calls, and meeting random people. But here's the thing that you need to know about introducing yourself to strangers. Your elevator pitch is a powerful foundation for every video, every podcast episode, every sales conversation you lead. And if you're not hitting the mark with your elevator pitch, you're not only losing people's attention, you're losing opportunities, authority, and yes, income. You're leaving big money on the table. What if I told you the difference between forgettable and unforgettable could be a simple one-liner that you have yet to develop, but that doesn't have to take you super long to do? Today, I'm dedicating an entire episode to the art of the pitch, the elevator pitch. I'm going to give you the exact formula that I use to put together winning pitches for clients so that you can go from just introducing yourself to captivating someone with the first words that you say when they ask, what do you do? We're going to talk about how to create an elevator pitch that doesn't just sound good. It actually gets people interested in learning more in 30 seconds or less. So are you ready? Welcome to Camera Confident. If you're new here, I'm Shirley, former television journalist turned video and visibility coach for entrepreneurs, service-based businesses, course creators, basically anyone who wants to be known as an expert. And if you've ever struggled to describe what you do in a clear, concise, and compelling way, you are not alone. I still struggle with this from time to time. What I just said about who I am and what I do, I've changed that so many different times. So this is something that's always a work in progress, but you can continue to make it better. And as you evolve, your elevator pitch can evolve too. I coach ambitious entrepreneurs and executives every single day who are incredible people, who are so good at what they do and are able to help their clients with remarkable transformations, but they can't string a sentence together when you try to just ask them the simple question of what they do. They get all tongue-tied and trip over their words, and it never quite comes out right. Or they can't seem to explain it without over-explaining, going off on a tangent, and boring the person who's listening. Or they freeze up entirely. That's why I'm so fired up about this conversation today, because elevator pitches are literally the gateway to your visibility. It is what will set you apart from other people in your niche and set you on a trajectory that you can be that authority on video that you really want to be, and that translates into other public speaking opportunities. So this is a video you're going to want to tune in and watch until the end, because I'm going to be offering you some resources for you to perfect your elevator pitch after you learn the fundamentals that we're about to go through. My last podcast episode was about the 4 P's of vocal performance, and this one really struck a chord with people. It was one of my most listened to and viewed episodes in a long time. Some of my views on LinkedIn were like the most impressions I've ever gotten. This is something that people really want to know about. And it got me thinking, what if I could apply a 4 P's framework to the art of the elevator pitch? So I went to work doing that, and I've come up with something that I think will be super helpful for you as you think about this in your own work. Because just like with your voice, there are key ingredients that either make your messaging forgettable or magnetic. So let's dive in, starting with number 1, and that is positioning. Before you can start writing your killer elevator pitch, you have to be ruthlessly clear about what it is that you do. This might sound really obvious, and maybe you're just kind of rolling your eyes like, duh. It's not enough to just give your job title, because you probably have the same job title as a lot of other people. Or if it's something obscure people haven't heard about, it needs qualification. You need to explain what that is. You have to be ruthlessly clear on what you actually want to be known for. Most entrepreneurs will water themselves down. They'll try to appeal to everyone. They'll try to make it more generic. And the result is that you sound like everyone else, which means you sound like no one special. Your pitch should actually position you as the obvious choice, as the only option for the person who really needs your help. So a simple thing to do is ask yourself, if my dream client heard one sentence about me, what would make them lean in and think, tell me more? Which leads into the second critical P in this formula, and that is the problem. Look, as entrepreneurs, thought leaders, course creators, service-based businesses, you are solving problems. Even if maybe you don't think of it that way, people are coming to you for that information, for that knowledge, because there's some kind of gap that they're experiencing between where they are now and where they want to be. Whether that's a specific transformation, certain knowledge, certain experience, a certification, a product that can give them a certain result, whatever it is, they want something, and you've got what they want. But before you can show them the solution, you need to position the problem properly. The best elevator pitches hook people not by bragging, but by spotlighting a specific problem that your ideal client is feeling right now. So it's not even about you, it's actually about them. When you show that, you get their struggle in a visceral way. You can create instant emotional connection. And people buy with emotion. Emotion drives decisions. There is a rationality part to it, but ultimately a lot of people are going with their gut. So what is going to make them have that gut reaction to you? That, yes, you are my person. Well, one of the first things is that you have to articulate that you understand their problem, even if maybe they haven't identified it yet, and that you are the person. So we'll talk more about that second part in a minute. But just know that people don't buy solutions. They buy relief from a pain that they don't want to tolerate anymore, whether that pain is literal or it's like a metaphoric pain for something else. Here's a saying that I can't take credit for. I've read it in a few different places, so I'm not sure exactly who it originated with. But you're going to want to be a painkiller, not a vitamin. Think about it. Taking vitamins is optional. You can take them and they have benefits, and I'm sure a lot of the health professionals in the audience will be like, oh, no, they are vital. At the end of the day, if you have a migraine and you don't take a painkiller, you're going to be in pain. You're going to continue to suffer, and you probably won't be able to sleep very well. So you want to be that painkiller, not the vitamin. I've heard so many times, but what I do is not a painkiller type thing. If you're a life coach, you kind of are a vitamin in some ways because they don't need to work with you. But this is why it's so important to position what you do in a way that feels critical, that feels like it's something that they really need help with. So if your pitch doesn't make them think, that's exactly what I need help with, or, oh, I want to learn more about that, it's time to sharpen it. But it's not enough to just present a problem. Obviously, we want people to think, okay, well, great, I have that problem, or maybe I have that problem, so what are you going to do about it? And that's where the next P comes in, and that is the promise. Now that you've named the pain, or at least put that idea in their mind, you need to very quickly explain why they should work with you, why they should believe that you are the person that can help them get relief from this pain. What is the promise that you are putting out there? How tangible is that for people? The promise can't just be, I help people grow their businesses, or I help people feel better by eating better. The promise is the specific outcome you deliver. Think tangible. Think transformational. I recently grappled with this myself in my own coaching business because I help people with video. I help them be more magnetic on camera. I help with messaging. I help with setting up your set with camera, with video editing. I help you pitch podcasts and media. And so there's so many things that I do, but it's hard to articulate all of that in one single elevator pitch. So what I'm doing now is breaking that up into separate pieces. So depending on who I'm speaking with, because I do a lot of podcast guesting and I speak in communities and do a lot of keynote type talks, I will tailor that pitch to that audience. I know if you're watching, you're probably multifaceted. You probably have a lot of talents. You probably solve more than one problem, and that's okay. But rather than doing that one-size-fits-all elevator pitch, think about crafting and tailoring your pitch to the audience that you're speaking to. So if I'm speaking to a group of entrepreneurs who won't even press record, I'll focus more on that confidence piece. But if I'm talking to someone who's already quite comfortable on video and they really want to take things to the next level, then my pitch will be a little bit different. So do you see how that works? You want to make sure that you're speaking to very specific things. So stop with generic elevator pitches. Think, who is asking? Now, you don't always know the person, but you can read the room. And so as you're going through this process and as you're thinking about, well, what is my elevator pitch in 2025? What are some different types of avatars, some people who are ideal clients or people you've worked with in the past, or what are you currently focusing on, or if there's a specific offer or product that solves a specific problem, how can you frame what you do in that sense? This advice can be a little controversial. There are probably people who will push back and say, no, don't change the message to all the different people you're talking to. But in my experience, this is what is the most effective when it comes to attracting your ideal people and really making people feel that you get them. Because trying to speak to everyone all at once actually ends up meaning you speak to no one in particular. And unless you're already a super established celebrity in your niche, this is something you're going to have to build up to. So yes, over time, absolutely, you can diversify, you can speak more broadly because people know you, you are a known entity, and you've already established your credibility for something. But when you're just starting out, or maybe you're still in the point in your business or in your journey where you're not a household name, you're going to have to create that know, like, and trust factor. And the more specific you can be, the more specific that promise, the better off ultimately you'll be. What's the before and after of working with you? Make sure you spell it out clearly and confidently. Of course, none of these 3 Ps mean anything if you don't have the final P in this formula. That is the most important one. It's going to differentiate you from everyone else out there. And that is personality, of course. This is the secret sauce that most people miss. A lot of people, when it comes to elevator pitches, are so tied up in LinkedIn speak. They're using all of the terms you would see in a resume, leverage, strategic, and all the other jargon that I don't even want to think about right now. When you use jargon, first of all, nobody talks like that in real life. I don't know, maybe you're in a niche where that's normal talk, but most of the people I talk to don't walk around using words like that. So make it conversational and put your own spin on it. So you want to sound different than other people. You want to use different words than other people use because ultimately you are asking people to invest either their money or their time in you. So what do they get when they get you? Because after all, in an age of AI where anybody can come up with an elevator pitch in ChatGPT, something super generic, what are they buying? They're not buying a business coach. They're not buying a financial advisor. They are buying you. So who are you? How do you express that in a short period of time? How do you infuse your personality in a way that people will lean in and say, oh, you know what, I really like her, or there's something about him that I just feel there's this connection. That's what you need to infuse your pitch with, because I know it's not a long time, but 10 to 15 seconds in the broadcast world where I come from is an eternity. It was enough for an expert to make a complete statement in a news story. That was actually a lot of time, 10 to 15 seconds. We never put in clips that long. They were more like 6 to 7, maybe 8 if we're lucky. So remember, you're not just selling your skills, you're selling you, your energy, your vibe, your perspective. You're infusing your personality into your pitch, and this is what makes you memorable. And it's also what makes you magnetic. It's what makes you come to life, whether through the lens or in person. In a world of cookie cutter pitches and ChatGPT, your unique personality is your competitive edge. So please don't sanitize your language trying to use the buzzwords of your field. Be specific. Are you bold, analytical, compassionate, irreverent? Let that energy infuse your pitch. If you have a sense of humor, inject your pitch with a little bit of humor. People might initially come for your solution, but they'll stay and they'll pay for you. So these 4 elements are critical. Your positioning, you're demonstrating your understanding of the problem, the promise of what you offer, and most importantly, the personality. That is the secret sauce, and that is what is so important. But how do you put all this together? Good question. And I'm glad you asked, because I've put together a free PDF resource that will help you walk through a specific process, a set of questions to land on your perfect elevator pitch. This is something you can take offline, you can workshop, and I recommend you go back to this maybe once a quarter and really evaluate where are you at, because guaranteed your elevator pitch will evolve over time. And if you're someone who's like, look, I don't have time for a PDF, I don't want to be filling this out, I have a shortcut for you as well. I have created a custom GPT called Elevator Pitch Pro, and it is trained to give you two versions of an elevator pitch. One is the shorter, just who you are, what you do, and all of that good stuff. And the other one is a little bit of a longer one that you can use if you have a little bit more time. And it's basically like having me as your personal messaging coach going back and forth with you, workshopping your perfect pitch. So if you want the shortcut, that's available to you too. Hopefully these resources will be helpful. Leave your elevator pitch in the comments on YouTube or send it to me on Instagram in a DM at b.camera.confident. Link is in the show notes or the description, and I will actually give you feedback on your elevator pitch. I would love to hear it. I would love to help you with this, and I want to know most of all if this has been helpful for you. So remember, when you get your elevator pitch in place, something remarkable happens. You start to show up more confidently. It starts to inform and infuse all the other content that you produce, and you start to have a lot more confidence in that crucial first few seconds, that first impression that people get of you, and they make a lot of decisions, little micro decisions in those first few seconds, and your elevator pitch is really going to help you come out on top and really nail that first impression. The elevator pitch is a gateway to everything that you do to market yourself and your business. It's also the first step in a critical video that every single business owner and brand needs to have, and that is the sizzle reel. So if you don't have one already and you want to know more, be sure to watch this video next, because I will walk you through exactly what makes a perfect sizzle reel.